Hi everyone, and welcome to our IT Tech Talk series. Our IT edition of today is focused on Splunk fundamentals with web server data. In this part one, we're focusing on Apache and Iis technical add-ons. During the series, we'll talk through different ways to help you make the most of your Splunk instance through short webinars that focus on apps and add-ons, features, best practices, and more. We value you, our customer, and want you to continue in your Splunk journey. Our experts will help create these tips and tricks, and we want to help you leverage them in your daily role. My name is Caitlin Reynolds, and I'm a Product Marketing Manager here at Splunk. And my co-host today is Josh Hoagie, who is a Solutions Engineer here. He's going to walk you through today's talk and also do a demo at the end. All right, take it away, Josh.
Thanks, Caitlin. All right, here's our agenda for today. First, a handful of slides covering the Apache Web Server and Microsoft Iis technical add-ons for Splunk. Just the essentials, and definitely not a deep dive. Then, a brief introduction to GDI, getting data in. Finally, a demo of one of the many valid ways of setting up the Apache TA before we wrap it up. The Splunk add-on for Apache Web Server allows a Splunk admin to collect and analyze data from their web server using file monitoring. After the platform indexes the events, you can get a start on visualizing your web server data using the included pre-built panels. This add-on provides the inputs and Splunk SIM-compatible knowledge to use with the other Splunk apps. And if you haven't heard of the Splunk SIM, or Common Information Model, it's a shared semantic model that helps Splunk extract value from your data. The SIM is an add-on that contains a collection of data models, documentation, and tools that support consistent, normalized treatment of data for maximum efficiency at search time. SIM is your friend. Also, just for reference, Apache HTTPD holds about 37% of the web server market share as of July 2020. Source type is one of the default fields that Splunk software assigns to all incoming data. It tells Splunk software what kind of data you have so that it can format the data intelligently during indexing. Source types also let you categorize your data for easier searching. Because the source type controls how Splunk software formats incoming data, it's really important that you assign the correct one. That way, the indexed version of the data, these are your events, looks the way that you want it to with the appropriate timestamps and event breaks. This makes it easier for you to search your data later. Splunk comes with a large number of predefined source types, including standard web server logging formats. When consuming data, Splunk software will usually select the correct source type automatically, but if your data is specialized, you might need to manually select a different predefined source type. This is where TAs come in. The Apache TA includes the following source types: Apache :access and Apache :error. Okay, unless otherwise noted, you can install any add-ons to all tiers of your Splunk platform architecture: the search tier, the indexer tier, and the forwarder tier, without any negative impact. Splunk recommends that you install Splunk-supported add-ons across your entire platform deployment, then enabling and configuring inputs only where they are required. For example, if you install an add-on onto your indexer tier, but the add-on doesn't have any index time functionality, it really does no harm to have it there. An add-on package doesn't take up significant room on disk, so you can safely install them across your architecture. The bottom line is just follow the specific configuration instructions for each individual add-on and be aware of any limitations regarding using a deployment server, which thankfully is beyond the scope of today's tech talk. On this slide, we can see that the only hard and fast requirement to install the Apache TA is onto the search tier, but we'll say in the demo a little bit later that it's a good idea to install on the forwarder tier as well. The Splunk add-on for Apache Web Server collects data through file monitoring. After installing it, you need to configure the platform to monitor the access and error log files generated by Apache Web Server. You'll probably also need to make a few simple edits to the Apache httpd.conf file, which is usually in the etc Apache directory, so that it's generating log files with the correct information. And that's what's being shown on this slide. You can use Splunk Web to create the monitor input if you're accessing the log files locally or via a network file share. You can also edit the inputs.conf file directly if you're into doing things manually. Later on, I'm going to show you how to deploy and configure the TA using a Splunk forwarder. The Splunk add-on for Microsoft Iis allows the Splunk admin to collect website activity data in the W3C log format from Microsoft Iis servers. It can ingest WC3 compliant log files generated by standard as well as advanced logging in Iis. After Splunk indexes the events, you can get to start visualizing your data with the pre-built dashboard panels that are included with the add-on. The Iis TA also provides the inputs and SIM compatible knowledge to use with the other Splunk apps, such as Splunk Enterprise Security or the Splunk app for PCI compliance. And for reference, Iis holds about an 8% market share of the known universe of web servers as of July 2020. Okay, there's no need for us to revisit the importance of source types after that brief and factual overview that I gave a few slides back. But here's what the Iis TA includes. ms:/iis::auto, that's for index time extractions, and the ms:/iis::default for search time extractions. As we can see here on the slide, the only requirement to install the TA is on the search tier. I won't be demoing the Iis TA installing and configuration, but if you're using forwarders, it's also a good idea to install the TA there. A couple of caveats. First, you'll need to enable Iis logging for the web server from which you want to collect data and use the W3C log file format. The Iis documentation has information about configuring this. Just search for configure logging in Iis. Also, if you want to use Iis advanced logging module and you plan to use some very specific source types, you'll need to check the docs. Bottom line is that they're not W3C compliant, so again, check the Iis documentation. It'll hook you up. Forwarders must be installed directly on your Microsoft Iis servers or have the Iis log files copied or shared to them from the server. You can configure inputs directly on your forwarder. The Windows Forwarder Installer makes this a very simple process. As I mentioned on the previous slide, if you really want to use the Iis::default source type to enable search time field extraction, there's a few extra steps. If you stick to the auto source type, your work is done. Either way, check the docs before you proceed. Okay, we're getting close to demo time. Only one more slide to go. And if you're familiar with the wedding scene at the end of the classic movie Spaceballs, we're going to do the short version of getting data in. Cool? All right, we'll go from left to right. First, what kind of data do I want to index? Splunk can index any data structure, any data source, and any time scale. That means streaming data, machine data, and historical data, such as web server logs, or Windows event logs, or live application logs, and so on. Next, is there an app for that? Splunk apps and add-ons extend the capability and simplify the process of getting data into your Splunk deployment. Apps do the heavy lifting for you by targeting specific data types and handling everything from configuring the input to generating useful views of the data, just like we reviewed what we reviewed for the Apache web server and the Microsoft Iis technical add-ons. Next, where does that data reside? Is it local or remote? To get data into your Splunk deployment, point it at a data source. And while that might be on the same machine as your Splunk deployment, it's far more likely to be out there on the network. Now more than ever, everyone is remote and everything is in the cloud. So that leads to the next point. Should I use forwarders to access the remote data? So Splunk forwarders, I know we mentioned them prior, they consume data from remote machines and send it forward to your Splunk deployment, hence the name. So for example, if you have a number of Apache web servers that generate data that you want to search centrally, you can set up forwarders on the Apache host. The forwarders take the data from Apache and send it to your Splunk deployment for indexing, which consolidates, stores, and makes the data available for searching. Because of the reduced resource footprint, forwarders have minimal performance impact on the Apache servers. They represent a more robust service solution than raw network feeds and most network-attached storage solutions. They feature configurable buffering, data compression, SSL security, and they use any available ports. Forwarders can also run scripted inputs locally, reducing the load on your on your Splunk deployment. And that's why using a forwarder to get your data in is a best practice. Finally, what do I want to do with the index data? This is the key question. Splunk extracts different kinds of knowledge from your data. That's your events, fields, timestamps, and so on, to help you turn your data into doing. Some of this information is extracted at index time. This is when Splunk ingests your data. But the bulk of this information is usually created at search time, both by Splunk software and Splunk users. Unlike databases or other schema-based analytical tools that decide what information will be useful beforehand, Splunk enables you to dynamically extract knowledge from raw data as you need it, adapting to your challenges and opportunities. Okay, demo time. In just a minute, we're going to switch over to my screen, and I'm going to show you just one of the many valid ways that you can set up the Apache technical add-on and have it forward data to Splunk.
We'll start out on our Splunk deployment. It's a fresh install, so we need to collect some info, add our Apache TA, and make a few changes to settings. First thing we want to do is make sure that Splunk's up and running. Okay, everything looks good. Next, let's verify the IP address. We're going to need that for the forwarder in a few minutes. Looks like 192.168.86.175. Okay, great. Now, over to Splunk Web so we can get Splunk ready to receive forwarded data and install the Apache TA. We also want to create a new index to get that data. Here on the landing page, we click on the Find More Apps button, and we type Apache into the search bar. There's the TA. We enter our credentials, accept the terms, and Splunk downloads the TA from Splunk base. It prompts us for a restart, but we can do that later. Next, let's make that new index. We're going to call it Web. That's original and catchy. The default settings should be good to go. And we save it and verify that it's in our list of indexes. Okay, finally, let's configure Splunk to receive data from forwarders. So we'll use the standard port 9997 and click restart, and we wait. I really need some elevator music queued up for this, don't I? Okay, logging back in. Let's see what we got when we installed the TA. First, let's look at the source types. We type Apache up here, Apache into the search bar. And here's the Splunk TA for Apache, and we notice Apache :access and Apache :error. We also know that there's some pre-built dashboard panels. So let's try a new dashboard to try them out. We'll call it Apache Demo. How's that? Apache Demo. All right, so we're going to add panel, and we're going to search for Apache. Looks like they have 4 pre-built panels. We'll add all 4 so we can see what we got out of the box. And done with that, now we are going to add a time range picker because those are pretty useful. And to make it useful, we need to convert all of these pre-builts to inlines. And as we convert them, you notice we can look at the search, make changes to visualization, take more actions. But here in the search, we select the time picker, and I want you to notice that index is not part of the search string. So this means that the search is executed against all our default indexes, and we're going to need to make the web index that we just created one of our defaults. Let's finish up all of the panels, inlining them, and we will save this, and we will go and make the web index one of our defaults. So we save, and we head over to Settings, Roles. We click on admin, because that's us. And we go to the third tab, indexes, and see default is a checkbox there. We're going to find web, click default, and save. And we should be good to go. Back to search and reporting. Good home page, right? All right, we are done with Splunk for now. Okay, now over to our Apache server. We log in. Let's check the Apache service first. It's running and appears to be good. Okay, got it. Trust but verify. So because Apache might be running but not bound to the interface that we expected, let's run netstat and grep for Apache. And we find that it's bound to quad 0. And we verify again that our IP address is 192.168.86.177. Here in the home directory, someone helpful has already downloaded the universal forwarder and the web server TA. They're gzipped to make installation easy. First, we'll unzip the forwarder into the opt directory. Here we see it. Next, we're going to start it with the accept license option and create the administrator account and set a password. And then we will proudly watch that universal forwarder start up. Next, we are going to point the forwarder at our Splunk deployment. And remember that IP address from the other machine was .175, right? So here we enter it. Good thing they're on the same subnet here locally. Port 9997. The forwarder asks us to authenticate. And things look good. Now we need to configure Apache. So we open up the httpd.conf additions text file that I've staged there, and we're going to copy them to our clipboard. Then we open up the actual httpd.conf file and scroll down to find the logging directives. They're pretty far at the bottom, and I'm just going to be lazy and scroll to them. Oh, there they are. So we'll paste our updated directives in here, and then we're going to comment out the ones that we replaced. So we're replacing combined and common. So comment those out, save it, and restart Apache so that the updated directives take effect. All right. Looks good. No complaints. Home stretch for the Apache server, folks. Now we need to extract the Apache TA into opt Splunk forwarder etc apps. So run tar again, and the TAC capital C option. Now we need to restart. It looks good. We need to restart the forwarder so it applies the props and transforms from the TA. No complaints again. Now we'll add a monitor statement for our Apache logs. This is telling the forwarder what the log files are that it needs to send to Splunk. And we're going to call out var log apache2 access.log, explicitly call the Apache access source type and the web index. Forwarder should ask us to authenticate. Yep. And we need to add a monitor for the error logs. Again, we want to explicitly call the source type Apache error and send it to the web index. Okay, let's restart the forwarder. Looking good. All right, we should be done on the Apache server. Back to Splunk. Let's see if we got some data into our web index. So type in index, last 24 hours should be fine. Bam. We have some events, but looking at the source type, they're just error. That's probably because nobody's requested a web page from our Apache server. Pop a new tab, type in the address, and here's the default page. Back to Splunk. Reload the search. And now we see we have 2 source types and 2 sources. Excellent. Thanks, Apache TA. We also see that there are some index time extractions. Let's get some more data in by requesting a URL that doesn't exist on the server. A couple of them. All right. Well, refresh the search again. A few more events, and we also notice that the TA here is doing some work for us. So in the Apache access, we drill down. Notice that we have some user agent string there. We also notice that we have that 404 is now not found, so it's doing a lookup for us as well. Also a nice to have. Not necessarily explicitly necessary, but nice to have. Let's use a different browser to access the server. So come at it with Chrome. This should get some more data into our index and should be a different user agent string. So refresh the search. Yep. And we should have 2 different user agent strings. Okay, what about that dashboard that we built? Apache demo. Let's take a look. Huh. Okay, not super useful looking, right? This means we should probably make some changes. Although we don't have a lot of data, I bet we can make this look a little bit better. So let's click on Edit. And, well, let's scroll down here. I think we should change visualization. Let's do this one. Okay, column chart. Somewhat better, but I don't know about you, but I like pie. Yeah, more like it. Okay, now I'm going to drag the panels so that they're sitting next to each other, so that this will be a more compact dashboard. And we can save it, and let's use that time range picker. 15 minutes seems about right. Much more useful. Okay, that's just a basic tour, and this concludes our basic GDI and out-of-the-box dashboarding demo. Thank you.
Okay, we're almost at the end of the talk, so I wanted to share a quick recap slide with the resources that we shared during the talk, and this is always going to be available in a follow-up email, which will have the recorded webinar. Back to you, Caitlin.
Great, thanks so much, Josh. If you guys enjoyed this talk, but you're eager to learn more, check out our incredible community of Splunk users on our community site, where you'll find all of these resources listed here and more. And these will also be available in the follow-up email Josh mentioned as well. Great, we're all wrapped up for today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedules to join us. And thank you, Josh, for your presentation and demo. We're really looking forward to seeing all of you at a future IT Tech Talk coming soon.